Granted,
The end of Brian Banks' ordeal was marked by tears after a judge threw out the rape charge that had sent him to prison for more than 5 years.
My only dream in the world was to just be free and to have the same opportunity as everybody here.
He was a 16-year-old star linebacker with a full-ride scholarship to USC and had dreamed to play in the NFL when in 2002, a classmate accused Banks of raping her in the stairwell of their Long Beach high school. Although Banks insisted it was consensual and there was no sex, he told KCBS TV that his defense attorney at the time gave him a choice: plead no contest to rape or risk a trial that could send him to prison for life.
When you go into that courtroom, the jury is going to see a big black teenager and you're automatically going to be assumed guilty. Those are her exact words.
He took the deal, went to prison, and had to register as a sex offender. He thought that was the end of it. But after he was released, came a surprise: a friend request on Facebook from his accuser, Juanetta Gibson.
I remember closing the laptop just like real quick and just like thinking, like, what did I just see?
So Banks arranged a meeting with a private investigator who videotaped the whole thing.
No, he did not.
Gibson later explained she hadn't wanted to say that publicly for fear of losing a $1.5 million settlement that her family had gotten after suing the school district.
I may not ever get the answers as to why I was supposed to go through what I went through, but I know that I'm here today and I remain unbroken.
Unbroken and working to get his life back on track. Those dreams of playing in the NFL, he says, might be realized yet. Lee Cowan, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Cardinal Elle Wyse, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. We've got a topic that has been a popular point of discussion in social media a lot lately. We're talking about abusive, entitled, these types of women that take control of men and really ruin their lives.
Yeah.
Just for their own betterment, for their own selfish gain. I wouldn't say that all women are that evil, but some women truly are evil.
They are. I would say borderline psychopathic at times. You know, the way that they go out and they know what they're doing. Believe you me, they do know. And they are looking for a target. Something as a prime target.
Like a predator.
A millionaire, a sportsman that's got a lot of money, got a reputation that they can destroy. You can guarantee they'll probably go for them to try and bring them down, to try and destroy their lives.
And take everything that they have.
And take everything.
And you saw that case that we were just watching there.
Yeah.
Ultimately, the reason she did what she did was for a settlement of over $1 million from the school district.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't want to tell the truth about it because that would have made it so she didn't have all those nice little goodies and treats and trinkets and treasures.
One good thing is truth always reveals itself in the end. And unfortunately, I mean, this guy, he was lucky, but there are so many men in the system today that have been falsely accused of rape.
I want to ask you something.
Yep.
What's the mentality there? Like, why do some of them do that? What were they brought up to believe that made them behave this way?
Well, it boils down to a lot of coaching by their mothers, and 9 times out of 10, their mothers were also the same kind of persona, looking out for themselves, trying to get rich quick, getting pregnant so they can trap the man. I don't know if my sister's spoken about that yet, but they entrap the men. They'll do anything they can to get that money. Now, the younger generations learn from the mothers. I have heard umpteen conversations by other women, and they are out to, yes, destroy a man. I've heard them coming into the ladies together. If you ever wondered why they do that, it's so they can talk about you. And a lot of the conversations have been really disgusting, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, speaking of childhood, growing up as a boy, I played mostly with other boys, and even when I was playing by myself, I would play with, Legos. I would be building stuff, and I would be imagining what kind of world I could create, and such a deep imagination in that way. And I think all children are like that, in that they all have a very deep imagination. But I noticed when I started going to daycare and hanging around more with girls than I did before, that they had a different way of playing. While they did also have a deep imagination, they weren't out there they weren't building things with Lego blocks. They were playing with dolls and simulating these intricate relationship dynamics.
Correct, yes. They had a little playhouse, they have a little cooker and stuff like that. And all the dolls and sitting down to so-called feed them.
Yeah.
The guys, I used to get a little bit jelly with this because they'd go out and they'd be playing like with the baseball bats or, other things to create stuff, building blocks. And so
Well,
I used to actually kind of join in a little bit with them.
one thing I noticed right away about, and you were clearly you were spared from some of that social manipulation that was going on, but I noticed that the girls, they would simulate these relationship dynamics that were like a reflection of what they were taught, whether it be from their parents or mother, but also from things like Disney.
Yes.
They emulated to be a princess.
Yes.
They all wanted to be royalty or doted over in some way, where they were treated as though they were
Pampered.
God's gift to men, treasure themselves.
But the thing is, with that ideology that was created by Disney, it is a prima donna kind of falsehood. You can't just wear a tiara and not realise the gravity of that crown. So if you take that perspective, if you really want to teach your girl responsibilities and maturity and morals and everything that is good, then you show them that. You teach them properly. You don't just plonk them in front of the TV and say, that's how your princess is. It's wrong. It's a false illusion.
Yeah, they think that that's a good thing to show them that without teaching them anything about the responsibility, because really none of those Disney movies really express what this responsibility of a queen really is.
Exactly.
They just show them this whimsical path of receiving all these blessings when doing nothing to earn them.
And the thing is, with the woman's mind, she's thinking, oh, I want that. I want the guy to give me everything so that happens in one way, shape or form. So she'll have the guy work 2 or 3 jobs to make sure she has that lifestyle she's used to.
Yeah.
The cars, the clothes, the makeup, all the bits and jewellery and stuff. She wants that. But she's forgetting one flaw. If she wants to be treated like a queen, she has to treat her husband like the king that he is.
And yeah, of course. And with that, there can't be any deception. And some of these strange expectations that women seem to have for men to be like some kind of mind reader and to know what they're thinking and to understand that many of these things that they do, while are deceptive, are actually supposed to be tests for the man. And I wanted to bring up a video here about that, so that our audience can kind of see what we're talking about. One of these examples, it's listed in this video. I've got us both up on the screen still, so feel free to let me know if you want to pause and we'll talk about it.
No problem.
So many times where women say to me, it's like, oh, I told him I want a divorce, but hoping he'd come back for me, but he let me pack my bags. When we push you and you succumb to us, you automatically lose us.
So after I gave him the ultimatum, he just looked at me in my face and was like, if you feel like you need to move, move. Yes, I just really blurted that out. I did not mean it. I had no intention.
She says, I just blurted it out. I didn't mean it.
Yeah.
So she says she has no intention of actually leaving, but
She's playing mind games. Yeah.
and real strong men, they don't play that game with them. They don't just say, "Oh, please don't do it," you know. They'll just let you do your thing and go on with your day.
Go.
Yeah, you want to leave, leave.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not here to stop you, you know? Like,
And she's very wrong in doing what she's doing by applying this pressure falsely to I'm probably really, I don't know who her husband or boyfriend was going to be, but he did the right move. He stood his ground, and rightly so. And she's now panicking, thinking,
yeah, well, yeah, she can belong to the streets.
In fact, I think a lot more men nowadays should start standing up and saying enough is enough.
I had no. So the last day I was putting my stuff in the car, he came over and helped me put my stuff in the car.
There's been so many times where women say to me, it's like, oh, I told him I want a divorce, but hoping he'd come back for me, but he let me pack my bags. So sometimes they file for divorce or take it that far as a way of testing their partner. And if they're with quite a healthy partner, they'll think you mean it.
So many women try to...
I like when she said this.
Sometimes they file for divorce or take it that far as a way of testing their partner. And if they're with quite a healthy partner, they'll think you mean it.
The easiest way to lose a confident man who knows himself is to use this type of strategy. It only works with guys who aren't sure about themselves or are dependent on their spouse.
Yeah, that's really a codependence right there.
Yeah.
And
I think we need to also bring up the fact that probably the man and that kind of thing that would take that kind of abuse and that kind of test and weaken are actually more likely to have actually grown up in a fatherless relationship. Where's the dad figure that can turn around to him and say, look, stand up for yourself, son?
well, yeah, maybe. I'm sure that there's exceptions to every dynamic there, but oftentimes, you know, a partner will want to see the potential in their partner that's really like deep down, and they want to give them a chance to change. But the reality is people are who they are, and it just takes us time to realize that if somebody wants to change, then they're going to certainly act differently than trying to manipulate their partner.
I mean, there's one thing I noticed about men. You don't push them like that. You're not going to get anywhere fast. You know, there's one thing about testing, and I don't believe in it. I really don't. Why do that? Especially when it's a good guy, a really nice guy that you got your hopes on, and you're going to mess it up greatly if you start doing these ultimatums.
Well, it's almost like they're trying to narrow it down to make sure that he's a good guy, that make sure he's a nice guy, but every good person has their limits as to how much abuse they're willing to tolerate, you know?
And the thing is, men are very, very simplistic. They're very logical. So I've got a classic. You go and ask for, say, a red jumper, right? You haven't told the guy what the colour of the red jumper is. You just said red. A guy will go into a shopping precinct, go into the first red jumper that he sees and buy it for you and bring it back because he's the hunter-gatherer. Now, a woman would say, right, oh, I didn't want that one. That's not right. That's the wrong kind of red. She should have been more detailed. If she wanted that kind of red, she could have at least used her brain and thought, right, I'll get something that he can take with him. So he knows exactly which red it is. Instead of nagging him afterwards and saying, you got it wrong.
This is oddly specific. This is almost like something you went through.
Yeah, it is.
You had to specify red jumper, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
But what I did is actually gave him an actual colour sheet. And I said, that colour there. And he went, good. Yeah.
no, thanks for the context.
Yeah,
Let's play some more of this, shall we?
Don't try it with a mature and secure guy because you are going to lose him.
test their men constantly.
It's an evolutionary thing because here's the reality. Childbirth is potentially fatal. So to put that risk onto a relationship, he better be able to endure all types of storms. So we have to test them. So we have to, unfortunately, test them. We have to test, are they going to be faithful, financially stable, have their own boundaries? Now, the problem is, unfortunately for men, when we push you and you succumb to us, you automatically lose us. What we're saying when we're pushing you is really make sure you don't give in to this, because if you do, then I know you're not strong enough.
Like, give me an example.
It might be something like I push a man to say, I'm going to come home when I want. I'm going to come on girls' trips. I'm going to do whatever I want. And then when you actually give in and say, okay, essentially she feels like she's not being protected. So she feels like nobody's governing her.
You don't have a spine.
You're not responsible. Or she might say, I'm talking to my ex-boyfriend, and you say, I don't feel comfortable with that. She might, no, you have to, I have to. Fine, he accepts it. Essentially, she's saying that you don't mind if I have an affair. Bye. Essentially, what we're begging for sometimes is the boundary. We're not looking for you to bow down.
Wow.
So hard for men to figure that out.
Right.
I feel...
I hate to say it, but if the shoe was on the other foot, to say that I'm in that situation, and my partner's turning around and said, oh, I'm just getting in contact with a partner that's whatever, and doing it as a test, and trying to test me to see if I'm loyal, whatever, and I'd say, well, bye-bye.
Yeah, well, I could say from my experience, I've tested women quite frequently, and they all fail.
Yeah.
Almost every single one of them, until I moved to Mexico. Because it's like the women here just know how to treat a man. They know what to do, and they don't have to be told. So like that's like, okay, yeah, you want to test and really not be very clear about what that test is and try to use subtle psychology. Well, I mean, I guess the true test of a person is to see what they'll do without being influenced.
You've just struck on something that really comes to mind. You get different variations of women. You know that we call them Eve and Lilith. Hopefully, my sister will do a teaching later on that subject. But there are different types of women on this earth, and you get some, even like in the lower states, where they are trained from a young age. That's your husband. You respect your husband. You balance your husband. You do everything in the household for your husband. A real homely woman, as they reference as, right? She supports her husband thick and thin, and he loves her for it, and he provides for her, and the balance is perfect to a degree.
That's
you can't get any more perfect than that.
Yeah, that's harmony. That's true harmony right there.
And then you got the other extreme, where you got the women that are into careers. Yes, fine, fair enough, but it's like they've lost their part of themselves that God gave them. You know, a man is the balance that they need. And if they can't treat a man right, then they're already beaten.
It's like there's spiritual influence there too, and when some of these crimes happen within abusive relationships, it's been characterized that men are more often the abusers than women, but there's actually information out there to support the contrary. And in fact, men often just don't say anything. More often, men are actually being abused and just not reporting it, because men, it's not just about pride. It's about being viewed as a grown man who can take care of himself and take care of his relationship, and that to be able to be in charge of one's own life is paramount for all men. It's so important to us to know that we can take care of business and that we can take care of family, house, and home too. And to have to report to an authority figure about this, and not only be rejected more often, not believed, to be thought that, well, you might be the abuser, but men can't even react to it. They can't protect themselves. They risk going to jail for defending themselves to physical violence from women.
I mean, my father used to say to my brothers, don't hit a woman. Don't hit a woman. You know, take the abuse if you have to, right? But never lay your hand on a woman. Thing is, and I'm a woman, right? But I turn around and say, at the end of the day, if that woman is out of order and out of line and abusing you, defend yourself. Stand up. Make the reports.
And this is really a Western way of thinking, to think, well, you can't defend yourself, that sort of thing. In fact, in some Eastern cultures, including Muslim cultures, they're taught within their law, Sharia law, and in the Hadith, the Sharia law is derived from, that oftentimes women deserve to be put in their place physically.
Yes.
And you
rightly
might
so.
even see examples of it on video of men with sticks
Yeah.
beating the backs of their daughters and wives simply from misbehaving. But with the influence of Western culture, that risk is even more so there now than it was before. And they're really cracking down on this in Islamic countries. Iran had a cultural revolution. I think it was back in the 70s, right?
Well, yeah, about that.
Yeah. And they gave women the right to vote. And it wasn't soon. Well, it wasn't long after all of that happened that they abolished it immediately, and all these women's rights just went away.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a detriment to their society. In fact, it was a way of repairing the damage that was being done to their society.
Well, that's good. That was very good, because I do believe that, I mean, you got Britain, they had the suffragettes, they had the vote, and then they pushed on and pushed on and pushed on. Well, feminists, if you really want your equality, it's the wrong kind of equality you're after, not what you're doing, right? There's a different way of it for being equal and having the balance and understanding. You need to understand men and to appreciate men, to have that balance so you think alike. That's the balance, that's the equality, thinking as one together. Not getting a hammer and saying to him he's useless and, you know, start doing stuff yourself and belittling him. No, it's wrong. You're supposed to be the yin to his yang.
Yeah.
And that's what you were created for.
Yeah.
That's the patriarch.
Patriarchy. That's almost like a buzzword these days too, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's this show from it's called Tyra. It's from the host Tyra
yes.
Banks. You gave me a clip of that. I'm gonna go ahead and put that on here. This is an example of a very abusive relationship.
We've all seen the headlines and we've read stories about men abusing women, but what we hear a lot less about are facts like this, okay? Every 38 seconds in this country, a man is being abused at the hands of a woman. Every 38 seconds. Kendra and Andrea have both hit, and they have punched, and they have spit at the men in their lives. Kendra's boyfriend, Marcus, is here now. Marcus, we saw in the tape what happens. Did you see that backstage? Were you watching it?
I saw it backstage.
When you're looking at that happen, what happens to you constantly, what are you thinking when you're looking at that, first of all?
I feel like she doesn't love me. Like, if you love somebody, you wouldn't go that far to get their attention or just to do anything like that to somebody to hurt them, physically or mentally.
Why let her hit you like that?
I mean, me and Kendra, we have a son together, and I was
She
raised
doesn't
by
look
my father.
sorry about any of
I was
this.
11, he died when I was 12.
She doesn't look
And I
apologetic
always
at
wanted
all.
to raise my son as a family. But all this going on, I mean, it's not worth it. I'd rather be a good father to my.
You know, I'm willing to bet that Tyra coached her before that show started, and she probably said something like, "You better shut your mouth when we're talking.
Yeah.
We're not going to tolerate any of this misbehavior while you're on stage. All right, you better sit there and be quiet, and you will speak when you're called upon."
The thing is, she comes across also as a narcissistic woman, because she will eventually, because she's now put on the spot.
Yeah.
She's now put on the spot. She's going to try and play the victim now, to a degree.
Well, that's clearly what's going to be happening. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see how that goes.
My son like I've been doing without her in my life.
See, now a lot of people would probably want me to ask you, well, are you cheating on her? Are you this? Are you that? And I honestly think all of that is irrelevant. Whether you're faithful, whether you're cheating, it has nothing to do with getting hit. Like if we were to flip it and there was a guy beating on a woman, and I wouldn't, and he was like, well, I think she's cheating on me, Tyra, and that's why I beat her. I wouldn't ask the girl, well, are you cheating on him? Like, what does that have to do with getting your ass beat? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Nothing
so
at all.
That's irrelevant.
Exactly.
Exactly, irrelevant.
Are there people in your life that say, why are you putting up with this? They must know.
Yes, I mean, before my grandmother passed away, she used to always like see the abuse I got from Kendra. What happened to your face? Why is your head bleeding?
What do you say?
I mean, me and Kendra got into it.
You did?
I'm not gonna lie to my grandmother. I told her the truth. Like, me and Kendra got into it.
What about work?
Again.
You go to work and you see the people that you work with?
I mean, when I go to work, I mean, I lie to my boss, basically. I tell him that, you know, I have a dog. Like, my dog scratched me up. We was playing too rough. Or I had broke up my cousins fighting each other. But, you know.
Wow. So it's like
I know where you're
abuse
coming
women. You know,
from.
that's what women do. They say, I fell down the stairs, or I did this, or I did that, but really they're getting beat. Okay, Kendra, what do you want with Marcus? Do you want to take the relationship further? What do you want?
I love Marcus. Marcus, I love you. I love you with all my heart. And
Say
I
you're
wanna
sorry.
marry you.
What?
And I know we need help. We need help.
We need help.
I need help. This relationship needs help, and I'm willing.
She's lying. She's
whatever
playing
it
with her.
takes. I just need you to help me help myself.
She's
Please,
she's
that's
doing
what I
this.
ask.
She's putting her hand down like this, right? She's in reflecting mode.
Yeah, deflecting.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, she's not willing to take responsibility.
No.
I've been with you going on 4 years. We've been through a lot of stuff, a lot. And through the 4 years, that's all I took was your abuse. You saying the things that you say towards me that you know that hurt me. I had never had somebody break me down the way you break me down. Never. That's
So
why
she wants to marry you. What do you want?
I'm not gonna marry Kendra. I won't marry Kendra. Because what's going on right now, it's going to escalate and graduate to something else. From the hitting, the kicking, the biting, the spitting. Next time it won't be a stiletto in my head, probably be a bullet or a knife because of her anger.
I agree.
She's right.
And
She's right.
I know I'm not perfect. I say things too. I say things.
Wait, you say that you love me, right?
Yeah, I love you.
Well, why won't you help me make this back?
Kendra, you say that you love him, but you beat him. Do you understand that love is not pain? Love is not attack? And you know, the most important thing before loving somebody else is self-love. And Marcus is finally showing that he loves himself. That's what he's showing right now. And without Marcus loving himself, he can't love you. Taking your beatings is not loving you. Staying is not loving you. That's showing your son a disgusting, negative, abusive relationship that he will either be the victim of or he will repeat and beat somebody else. So believe it or not, Marcus is showering you with so much love right now by saying, I don't want to be with you. And when you were saying that you need to help him, he needs to help you, help yourself. No, you need to help yourself, Kendra. You need to help.
She needs to help her own son, her own child.
Yep.
Like, she needs to stop looking just at herself. I mean, yeah, she needs to correct herself. She needs to be sorry for what she's done, for one.
Exactly. And the thing is, he's correct because he turned around and said it could escalate to something far, far better, worse.
It's far, far worse. And unfortunately, there is a fear that men have that wasn't expressed in this, and that's when men leave the relationship, they're often very limited on the amount that they're able to be a part of their children's lives.
Mm-hmm.
And it's most likely that she would gain custody, full custody. It would be very difficult for them to have shared custody, even more difficult for him to get full custody. And it's more likely that the family courts would side for her, and he would have some kind of visitation rights, perhaps, if he's
That's been
fortunate.
put into place as well because of all this Me Too movement and feminism. And they do it in such a way that the courts, there's even lawyers creating videos saying, oh, this is what we can do if you marry some millionaire and you want a divorce because he's not in, whatever you want to say about it, and we can get loads of money off him because you are the victim. You know? And I'm thinking, I cannot believe I'm hearing this.
Well, the facts of life, especially in America, are this. More often than not, men are victims of domestic violence, and that violence has been known to escalate even worse than what would be just a slap, kick, punch, or scratches. It's gotten to the point lately where men are being murdered.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's a case here that I know you wanted to show us, and I think we should watch it and talk about this too.
This is very important.
And while the majority of domestic violence victims are women, tonight we're diving deeper into cases where men are the victims. It's rare, but it does happen, and sometimes with deadly outcomes. ABC Action News reporter Michael Paluska tonight looking at two high-profile cases with local connections.
The knife entered Christian's chest in a downward angle to the depth of 3 inches.
Miami, a social media influencer arrested.
We are charging 26-year-old Courtney Taylor Clenny with 1 count of second-degree murder in Christian's
Social
death.
media influencer, professional princess.
Miami-Dade County State Attorney Catherine Fernandez-Rundle telling the media at an August news conference all the signs were there. This fight in an elevator with Clenny and her boyfriend Christian Abuselli is key evidence, along with constant noise complaints about violence.
I've actually, in that times I've seen
it was a
women
homicide.
Doing
in
that.
St. Petersburg, August 19th, Larry
they don't
Durrell
care
is found
what's
inside
watching.
the apartment he shared with his partner,
They attack.
Rhiannon Spicer.
They get away with it.
An eerily similar case where police say Durrell was stabbed to death. The complaint showing that Spicer had a, quote, Google search history of, do you spend life in prison if you killed someone in self-defense?
Our advocates often have a very tough time that sometimes in abusive relationships, sometimes it happens within a 24-hour period that we'll get both partners in the relationship that reach out to us for help.
Christine Meister is the outreach program manager at the Spring of Tampa Bay. She did not comment on these 2 specific cases, but spoke in general about what she's experienced when it comes
that was
to
a little
domestic
Freudian
violence
slip there.
involving men as
She wouldn't speak
victims.
directly
People
about
look
it,
at
but she
men
said that.
when they're the victims,
But they were
and
both
make
reporting
the
this.
assumption that
What did they
men
do about it?
something wrong.
Nothing.
And there's a
They did
reason why they
nothing
were the
about it.
victim of domestic
They let
violence.
this
Is that
happen.
accurate?
So I think a lot of times when men are victims, they face additional biases, and a lot of that has to do
biases
with gender norms.
also against the
Men
system,
have this
or from the system against them.
tough to be more dominant in that relationship.
You can see
and
the difference
so
between
when
an abuse
a man
for
comes
a
forward
guy
and
and
says, no,
abuse
this
for a
is
woman,
what I'm
and
experiencing
they end
in
up in
my
jail,
relationship,
the
I don't feel safe in
sentences
this relationship.
are a massive difference.
Data reinforces that skepticism about men as victims. According to the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, 72% of all murder-suicides involve an intimate partner. 94% of the victims of these murder-suicides are female, and 1 in 4 women, compared to 1 in 9 men, experience severe intimate partner physical violence.
Our advocates have that very tough time of, let's put gender aside and really take a look at what is happening in this relationship.
Documents show Spicer was arrested in November 2021.
The numbers greatly on that, because there's a lot of men who haven't even come forward about what they're having to put up with, and a lot of it's all quiet. So these women think that they can, do this to a guy.
If she hadn't have Google searched, if she would get sentenced to life in prison for self-defense for murdering him, if she hadn't Google searched that, she probably, I'm just guessing, but it's very likely that she could have won the case for self-defense, and that is unbalancing those numbers right there about the vast majority being women who are these victims, and because they're all labeling even the perpetrators as victims just because they're women.
Yep. I mean, I remember a while back, they were actually turning around in a court that there was a guy had his manhood chopped off, And she was turning around and saying, no, he was cheating on me. And then she was saying that she had mental issues, something to do with PMT or something like that. And she was using everything in her arsenal as a woman to get the courts to go on her side.
But she committed a crime.
Yeah.
And thus, at some point, she became a victim.
Mm-hmm.
And her crime became excusable.
Yeah.
Outrageous.
Mm-hmm.
Violence again just weeks before Jarrell was found dead. No contact orders were also in place. In February, court records show that Jarrell was also arrested for domestic violence and pleaded no contest. The couple had 3 children together.
Of course, he pleaded no contest because that was the advice that his legal counsel gave to him.
Yep.
But there was a restraining order, protection order, restraining order, same thing.
Yeah.
Preventing them from being together. So clearly the law wasn't even being enforced here.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is, a lot of the, like I said, a lot of this manipulation's happened where the woman is getting away with a lot. She just has to cry wolf once. And immediately the authorities come down on the man and, he's completely innocent, but she said, it's like he said, she said, but she's lying. She knows she's lying. But she gets the weight of the government, the police or whatever, on her side purely because she's a woman.
And that we're showing a lot of cases here from the United States of America. The Lord has said it clearly that the United States of America is the seat of Satan. That is his realm.
Yes.
And as the Lord said, we discussed this in previous episodes on the show, that Satan was told by the Lord that he knows judgment, but he does not know justice.
Yeah.
And that is so clear with this matter that there's really no denying that fact alone.
Mm-hmm.
But there's scripture supporting the contrary, the contrast to this, that there's very clear instructions of how the dynamic of a healthy romantic relationship should work between a man and a woman.
Yes, definitely. I mean, for one, you've got, just for instance, wives, be subject to your husbands as to our Lord, because the man is the head of the woman, just as the Messiah is the head of the church and Savior of the body.
So let's consider that okay, Christ is the head of the church. So that means we're following his spirit, his teachings, his purpose. As members of the church, it's our duty to comprehend the reasons for these teachings, to apply it to ourselves, to first judge ourselves before judging anyone else,
Correct.
to better ourselves so that we're of greater service to others. Now, if Christ, being the head of the church, is the example comparable to a man being the head of his family, that means that those under the man in that family need to look to him as the teacher, the guide, the provider, but also do their very best to support him in everything that he does.
Yes. I mean, God is the top with our Christ, his son. The husband is the representative in the household. He is everything embodied coming down from the Father. He guides you, he protects you as a woman. The woman is next afterwards. She, like I said, she's the yin to the yang, she's the balance. She guides the household in such a fashion that he wants, right? That includes the children, which is underneath. They look up then to their parents. But honour thy father and thy mother. So that's their part as well. So everyone has a role within the family unit. And a good wife who submits to her husband will be looked after. She looks after and teaches and nourishes because she's doing that for her husband.
There's a quote from 1 Peter that you wanted me to put up. I just put it up on the screen for you. You wanted me to start at verse 1.
Yes, in this way, also you, woman, submit to your husbands, that you may win without labour those who do not obey the word of your beautiful way of life. When they see that you conduct yourselves in reverence and discretion, do not be adorned with outward ornaments of your hair braids or of your gold jewellery or fine clothing, but be adorned in the secret person of the heart, in a humble spirit which is uncorrupted, an excellent ornament before God. For in this way, from the first, the holy woman who hoped in God were adorning their souls, and they were submitted to their husbands, just as Sarah was subject to Abram, and was calling him my Lord. Those daughters you are by good works, when you are not shaken with any fear.
That's so important, and there's so many ways to go about looking at this. There's little points here and there that really stood out to me. In the very beginning, of course, it was talking about women submitting to their husbands, but there's a point there which does offer like some contention in Western society today about women adorning themselves with ornaments, braids, fine clothing. You know, you were telling me earlier about how, and this is a fact of life, most men know about this too, women take their sweet time getting ready because they want to doll themselves up and put on their mask, which is sort of like this, it's almost like a Freudian representation of what's actually going on within. They're trying to cover up the reality of the situation. And that concealment is a form of its own form of deception. But not only that, as a man, I can attest that a woman putting on makeup, a woman dressing fancy is not important to me at all. I actually appreciate more modesty. I do. And it's not just from a religious perspective. It's that I get to see more about who you really are when I'm not distracted by your jumbly bits in the front shaking around in front of me, or worrying about some man walking by us lusting after you when truly you belong to me. That sort of dynamic needs to be between us in private, and it's not really for everyone else to oogle at. So I could totally relate to this on a personal level. I'm sure most men can. Most straight men. But some of these other factors here about, you know, women being daughters by good works, and not shaken with any fear, basically doing this out of love, you know?
I personally would, if I was interested in a guy, and I would make him a meal. I would definitely make him a meal.
Yeah.
I'd probably go and go and do his laundry, go and clean up after him, his house. But I was always told this by my mum: a way to a good man is for his stomach. So she gave me some really good advice on that one. But compliment him as well. I mean, he's probably doing a lot for you. Picking you up, taking you to probably come to do your, you might even want to paint your flat or something, all right? If he does, I would turn around and say, what a fantastic job. I could never do that. You're wonderful. Stroke his ego.
Well, we all want to be of service, and I want to read
There's
on
appreciation.
Yeah, I want to read on the scripture that you had there, because there's a message here for men too. And you men, in this way, dwell with your wives by knowledge, and hold them in honor as weaker vessels, lest you be subverted in your prayers, because they also inherit the gift of eternal life with you. But in the conclusion is that you should all be in harmony, suffer with those who are suffering, love one another, be merciful and humble, and you should not repay a person evil for evil, neither insults for insults, but to the contrary of these things, give blessings, for you are called to this, that you would inherit blessing. And I'm not going to say that women are so complicated creatures that it's not clear what they really need. It is clear what they need. It's outlined in Scripture. It's also outlined clearly in Scripture what men need. And you were talking earlier about a man's needs being so simple as to sometimes all they need is just a good home cooked meal.
Yeah.
And there's truth to that. And most men would agree, especially those of us who've experienced relationships with women who refuse to cook. That could be a nightmare on its own.
Yeah.
Because you get home from a hard day's work and you want someone to prepare something for you. And
the thing is, they shouldn't nag him.
yeah.
There's too much of this nagging. So suddenly, the man comes in. You know, he's had a hard day. He's probably had something you don't even know about.
Yeah.
That you can never possibly understand unless you've been in the shoes of a guy.
Yeah.
And know them well. I mean, I love my brothers to bits, and I've learnt quite a bit from watching them growing up with them. But never nag him. Never.
Yeah. There's something that for the women out there who are wondering how to acquire and keep a good man, understand that most Western men have experienced horrible romantic relationships. A lot of these examples that you've seen on this show thus far, and many more that are displayed on the internet, they show very common Western women, how they are on a daily basis, whether it be in private or in public, unhinged, narcissistic, entitled, spoiled little brats.
Prima donnas, I call them.
Yeah, little princesses that are more like the Wicked Witch and the Wizard of Oz. And men, they need to be shown that you are like willing to be like a mother to them. That's really what they need. They need to be taken care of. And there's a video here. Let's show a little clip. This guy,
I love this guy. I really do.
This guy made this video himself. It's not like an actual thing happening, but it's so clear the example that he sets about what a man really needs.
Red bean. Like I was saying, I think we should just stay friends, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm not ready for a relationship. Like, you know, I'm just not ready for all that right now, you know what I'm saying? Like, real talk. Damn. Crispy chicken. You say you cooked them? You did it? Cornbread. Cornbread. Cornbread too? This ain't Jip, this from scratch? Lord, shit. And you cook this like this all year round. It stays the same taste like this all year round. Well, I don't know, baby, look. You mind if I take my Air Max off? Look, check this out. I'm gonna take my Air Max off for a couple of years because I've been thinking since I've been sitting here eating on this that you might be right. We might do need to get in a relationship because, real talk, I've been hungry lately, and these women I've been dealing with, they, you know, this is the taste I've been looking for. So, you want to get married tomorrow?
Yeah.
You want to get married tomorrow? Because that look like that's what's finna happen. I don't want to be single no more. I'm going to go ahead and...
That's all it took. He was ready. He was ready to settle down just because there was a woman out there that was really willing to take care of him like he knew he needs.
I must admit, I've had myself several over the years try to propose to me and stuff, but I wasn't ready. But like I said to you earlier on, I was in a public house. I was by myself. It was a brand new, evening, and the sun's still, and minding my own business. This guy comes along, starts chatting me up, getting really conversations going for a very long time. And he gave me the biggest compliment going. Yeah, he said that I'd like a kind of like an inner beauty, because of the fact that, he was trying to say I was attractive. And I thought, no way, not me. But he said, no, a heart. Yeah, he said you were the female that he had never ever had a proper conversation with until now. He said that I'd relaxed him, I'd had a really good conversation with him, he felt so at ease with me. So I've had that compliment quite a few times throughout my life. And when they say, are you a Eve or are you a Lilith? Hopefully I'm like the best one, which is the Eve side of things, where I respect men, but more importantly, I respect the patriarch.
It's important that we respect each other's roles. It's important that we have harmony in all of our relationships.
Yep.
It's paramount that we see the part that we should play and really be open to correction about doing better.
Yeah.
And it's not simply for a man to correct a woman, nor is it for a woman to correct a man. It's not simply for a parent to correct their children, but for parents also to correct themselves.
Yeah.
And the same could be said for any man or woman out there, that we need to look at ourselves, what we need to do better. And if we feel that we need to help somebody else to be better, there's ways to go about it. And it's often first with correcting ourselves and setting a better example.
I'm going to say this to the women out there that are watching. Please, first of all, look at yourself in the mirror. Realise, and be completely honest with yourself, where you're going wrong, how you're treating the man that you're interested in. Yeah, whether it's your boyfriend or your husband. You know, because he chose you because there was something about you that was special to him, that triggered all these little boxes that guys have. You know, they're not going to just take you willy-nilly. There's something about you that was nice, that rang his bell. Don't destroy that for your own selfishness.
Yeah, and don't let the only thing that attracted him be a physical appearance.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which is, I think that's the reason why it's important for women to dress modestly, because they need to display who they really are.
Yeah. I mean,
And not distract a man with the frivolous and vain things.
I mean, I used to have a little trick, because I was trying to learn myself and get used to certain things. And I would go and dress up, all the bee's knees, and I'd go and walk into a bar, and I'd walk in, and I'd clock all the men that was in there. I'd walk from the entrance, and I'd pick my spot at the end of the bar. And I'd do this slow, purposeful walk, watching and side-glancing who was watching. You would sit on the seat, and then you eventually, after a while, you start to play, and you expose a little bit of flesh. And it's amazing how many guys home in on that. All right? The next time I did that, I actually walked in, jeans, baggy t-shirt, yeah, trainers. Walked in, same kind of walk. Not quite so many noticed, but the ones who did were actually the maturer males. They knew what they were after, and they knew what buzzed them. They thought, oh, that's one of the nice women that comes in. Yeah, the ones you can actually talk to, the ones that's actually going to treat you properly. And the amount of times I actually had very good male company, and I had more male friends than you could shake a stick at, because I was just being honest with them. I loved their company. They were awesome men. If they're actually anything out there now, hi guys. But you know, that is one of the things that you should do as a woman is to appreciate men. Be yourself with them. Let them see who you are. You don't need all this makeup. You don't need it all. Be yourself.
Yeah, and attract a man that really appreciates you for who you are.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, good advice. Thank you, sister. We're going to have you on again on, is it Monday?
Monday, yes.
Yeah, okay, so next Monday, 1 o'clock.
Excellent.
God willing, if we're still here.
Yeah, if we're still here.
Yeah.
The way things are going, I think there could be, I mean, wars and rumours of wars, but yeah, we're coming to the end.
Calamities are increasing across the world too. Join us in all of our episodes. We talk about a lot of prophetic fulfillments, important teachings for social dynamics, and also family and the rest of the world. And it's very important that
And the
you
thing
receive.
Is, if they need these teachings, I would wise up on it quickly and get hold of the book.
Yeah, and the book is we made that available in the description down below, both UK and American Amazon. Yeah, get yourselves right with God. Learn about the return Christ, Lord Rael. May God bless you all in Lord Rael's name.
Amen.